streets.
I feel like Medellin's more unsafe than Bogota. No?
So according to your experience in different countries,
Uh-huh.
it's normal to feel attraction for someone else even while you are in a relationship, a serious one?
What you're asking is, if I'm in a relationship,
Yeah.
is it normal to be attracted to somebody else?
Like openly attractive. Like to say you are walking hand to hand with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And eyes pass by and you just
You know, like every guy looks, right? Every girl looks. But the reality is that it's a question of what you're going to do with it. You know, because there's a line you don't cross, right? I mean, you can always admit somebody's good looking, whether it's a guy or a girl. You don't have to be scared of being honest. But, you know, I've learned enough about relationships. And I've been in enough relationships, and you know, I was married and I am divorced. And what I learned is that there's a couple of golden rules for relationships. Number one is you try not to make your partner jealous.
Okay.
And I think that's really, really important. This means that if you're in a relationship, if you're in a committed relationship with someone, number one, don't talk to your ex. Any of your exes. Just don't do it. You know, because it's the primary source of jealousy, because, you know, you don't want the other person doing the same thing. So just block them. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes
so
it's
number
hard.
1, the ex.
Yes, get rid of them, right? Number two, it's your choice whether, because, you know, people get hit on all the time because of one reason or another. So the question is, do you want to answer that, or are you going to just leave them on read, or just block those people that have bad intentions? So, you know, if I'm in a relationship, the first thing that I would want to do with my partner is to establish those boundaries. Like, if someone, you know, hits on you, just walk away. You know, and I expect the same thing out of you, and you do the same thing for me. You know, and if that's agreed upon, then you do it. Number three, I think is really important, is you cleanse your social media.
Okay. You close your social media?
Cleanse,
Oh,
not
cleanse.
close.
Cleanse.
So cleanse meaning that any pictures that you have with your past relationships, get rid of it. And anything that could potentially be a hurdle, meaning that, you know, if you were talking to, let's say, 10 other girls and you decided to get into a relationship with one girl, get rid of those 10 other girls.
And delete the messages and everything.
Yeah, just it's respect. And if they try to contact you, you know, politely say, hey, I'm in this relationship now, and if they don't want to stop, then just block them. Because it's a relationship, because relationships is built on trust. So you have to actually put those boundaries in place, or, you know, there's always going to be like wiggle room in terms of, well, he did this or she did that. So if you just follow some basic things to show respect towards the other person, it'll last a little bit longer than, you know, most relationships that don't have trust.
So talking of like the social media and all that, you think it's to cheat sending a text or answering with a heart a story of a girl you find attractive, or that's just disrespectful?
For me, it's cheating doesn't have to be like, you know, you're in bed with someone, because that's already too late, right? Cheating starts with emotions, right? So like, are you looking around while you're dating someone else? Because it's just a lack of respect. Like, and it's a conscious decision whether one person wants to make it or not. Because do you want to do it or do you not? And if your partner does that when you're in a relationship with them and you're surprised, are you happy about it? Because if you're not happy about it, don't do it to the other person.
Yeah, I agree. So like everything, like messages, hearts, reactions, likes on social media, everything is like a big no-no.
There's all a degree of that. So of course you're free to do whatever you want, but just establish it with your partner ahead of time. Have that discussion ahead of time. Like, if I heart someone from the opposite sex, doesn't mean that I'm cheating. But if it happens constantly and it's because that person's, you know, wearing something skimpy, maybe there's, you know, when there's smoke, there's fire.
So when we talk about like how Latinas we were raised.
Latinas son celosas. That means Latin girls are jealous as hell.
Yes, we are. But you think like Asians, Americans, or Latinas, who's more jealous?
Who's more jealous?
Yeah.
Latinas.
Really?
Latinas are always, they're like the top of the top.
I think we were very hurt by whether our dads or exes from Colombia
Yeah, it is
because
a culture thing.
I just realized a while ago that, when we don't like something,
Yeah.
instead of speaking, we complain. But we do not just complain, we complain. So when I first started dating my boyfriend, that he's not from here, and I did my normal Latin reaction, being mad, and he turned to me, he was like, well, you see, Vanessa, I have been feeling like you're acting weird. Are you okay? And I was like, no. And he was like, listen, you are being very passive aggressive. I cannot guess if you are mad with me or not if you don't tell me. You had to tell me what I did wrong because I can't guess. So please, when I do something wrong, walk to me and say, I didn't like when you did this and this and this. And then we can talk about that and I won't do it again. And if I do, you can call me out that time. But the first time, I won't know. So please. And after that day, I realized we're very broken. Because you know what happened when we are with Colombians and we have the same conversation, like we are just feeling bad. We're like, and they just turn and see your face like this and they're like, oh. So immediately we just put our barriers up and we're like, because you know what? And then we start complaining. And when we complain, they're like, what's all this drama? So we just realized that fighting, it's the only way to get their attention when they do wrong. And I think that's a very toxic behavior of all culture. That's what I find so healthy, the relationship I have with a foreigner, because it's the most healthy one I have had in my life. With all the Colombians, it's the same. It's like, oh, why are you so dramatic? Calm down. He never had told me something like this. He's always like, your feelings are valid. Talk to me. Let me know what's going wrong. And now, when I feel this anger coming up in my blood, that I really want to overreact, because that's what it is. You just, let's say you forgot to hold my hand crossing one street and now I'm very mad. And I am about to explode and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. He does not deserve it, because if I go and tell him, hey, mi amor, you forgot to hold my hand. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. And they do. The Colombian will be like, fuck you again, like you're making a big problem from a small thing. So I think, the reason we're so jealous and sometimes so insecure and we complain a lot, it's not your fault. It's just the Latinos that give us traumas before. And just thank you for being so patient, because actually the foreigners are very patient with us, and they are like, when we get mad, they are like, oh, you look so cute when you get mad in Spanish. and that makes me feel like I want to kill him, but that's very cute too. Okay, you know what? I'm not mad anymore.
Have you seen that TikTok where a woman says, or a guy says, why are you mad? I'm not mad. Why should I be mad? Did you do something to make me mad?
Because if you did something to make me mad, then I am. But if you didn't, then I'm not. You did something? Okay, so I'm not mad. And then she turns, I am mad, but I'm Latina. And I get to feel whatever I want.
So I've been told Centendorianas are peleadoras. They're the biggest fighters in even all of Colombia. They're like the top of the top.
Yeah, they are very high. The problem is they are always mad. Like even if you did not something wrong, they are mad. So even other women are scared of them. With us, with paisas, what happened is we get mad, very mad, and then we talk with our accent, and then the boys are like, okay, I had to do whatever these girls asked me to do. So I try. I know I still have accent when I speak in English with my boyfriend. I normally try to talk very neutral. But when I know he did something wrong, Or when I just want to play a little bit with his mind, I change my way to talking. I'm like,
Gas.
I'm more so like, mi amor,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you today?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, you want flowers or what? So I changed the way I talk, and I had to confess this is a weapon we used against you guys, you expats, when we really are mad, when we want to be pampered, when we want to cuddle, when we're feeling down. But we don't want to express it openly, so we have just to seduce you a little bit, so you will come by your own feet here. Like once we say, Papacito, I feel so bad today, and then come here, mi amor, don't feel that bad. I'm gonna take you with me. So that's how we paisas do the thing. I don't know in other cities, but that's how we do.
Yeah, talk about regional differences between like the paisas, who are essentially this area of Medellin, Pereira. Talk about like the difference between that, the costeñas, the coastal girls, versus the rolas, the girls from Bogota. Talk about like the different types of people from different.
Well, for example, we paisas, we are like, first, a very jealous, second, very competitive, because if you walk around in Medellin, you will see like all the girls are pretty. All girls, like there is no ugly girl, like that's a huge section. And if there is a ugly girl, it's not from here. So,
Where are they from?
oh, I don't want to say that. But we all Colombians know.
Oh yeah, huh?
So
I think this is something they want to know, huh?
they are rolas, maybe, yeah.
Oh God.
Like there is a thing we have like with
Of
those
course.
two cities. We just hate each other, but
Two of
we
the
don't
biggest
really hate
cities
each
in
other.
Colombia.
The two big cities.
So
So
keep going.
we are more so like we just think like we are the best. Like that's a general thing about the paisas. We think are the best because we are, and the other cities cannot stand with that. So they used to say we are very proud people, but the real is like we are very hardworking. We like to wake up early, and we are very traditional. In terms of Medellin, we are very traditional. And if we see someone doing something out of place, we judge very easy. Like the people here is very empathetic, but in the same way, we cannot like deny from where we came from, like our moms or dads, like the way we grow up, and we will probably be more conservative than other cities in the country. When we talk about Bogota, like it's a cosmopolitan city, like everyone goes there. It's huge. It's like 3 times Medellin. Streets.
I feel like Medellin's more unsafe than Bogota. No?
No
Not
way.
even close?
What the public says. What's more dangerous, Bogota or Medellin? They're just very focused there. Like actually everyone says that. Like in Medellin, for example, you don't get papaya. You don't go out like with your watch, with your gold chain, with your iPhone 16 Pro Max Plus Golden in your hand.
Sure.
Because if you're walking in a street alone, something can happen. Like there is a 50-50%. In Bogota, it's like a 90% chance something's gonna happen to you if you walk
Really?
alone outside 1 block from your place, if you go to the grocery store, if you have 200 cup in your pocket or 20 cup, like it's a very insecure city.
Now, how do you compare that to Cali?
I have never been in Cali. I've heard it's very unsafe too.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like has the same fame as Bogota has.
Really? I feel Bogota's a lot safer than Cali. I mean, than at least Medellin. Definitely Cali, because Cali's, wow.
I've heard things about Cali, but I can't say because I haven't been there. But in Bogota, it's like you feel the adrenaline when you're walking the
Really?
streets.
Wow.
Like, and when I
You
was
hate the
young,
rollers that
Nami,
much, huh?
yeah. So the people when you come to Medellin and you're looking for an address, and you talk to a pais and you're like, hey, can you help me with this? Like they will try, even if they don't speak English, they will be doing like and we try.
Yep.
But if you're in Bogota and you're like, hey, can you help me with that address? They don't even look at it, and they'll be like, yeah, it's there. Go there. And you go and you get more lost. Because the people is scared of someone doing something on the streets.
Wow.
That's why there is so hard to meet people when you're not in a safe context, like inside of a mall. And that's actually something that my boyfriend had asked me 100 times, and it's gonna be very weird for Americans in general, from his perspective. And it's like, we have a huge mall culture here.
Oh yeah, all over Asia as well.
So the people don't go to the streets. Like, every time we had to do something, we go to a mall.
Yeah.
Wanna buy clothes? Mall.
Yeah.
Wanna eat something?
Yeah.
Mall.
Yeah.
Movies? Mall. Like, something entertaining? Mall. Ice cream? Mall. Because we feel safe there. Like, nobody's gonna steal your phone. Like, if it rains, you will be safe.
Yeah.
So
It's
if
too
you
hot
wanna
outside,
go
it's-
somewhere, like normally, like the 70% of the times, you go to a mall,
Yeah.
and that's where you meet people, like in the supermarket, in the line, in the shop. Like, that's actually a very good advice. Like, it not always works, because normally you go there with someone else. You don't go to the mall alone, because that's
Right.
very depressive.
Right.
So, yeah, we have a huge culture of malls. Now, refer to coast girls, like from all the area, Cartagena, Santa Marta, Guajira. Like, they speak very fast. Even for us, it's hard to understand sometimes. So I don't blame you if you cannot, even if you have your A2, B1 level of Spanish, because it's like, what? So they are very warm, but they have this culture that is very, they go very fast. So every weekend it's a party. There is two sides of the coast. Like, the very up high class, like, those girls, first of all, they are so beautiful. Like, I don't know how they do, but they dress up, they don't sweat at all. Like, their makeup is perfect, their outfit is perfect, and there is fucking 40 degrees at the streets. If I do that, I'm gonna be a mess.
All right.
So they are very beautiful. Like, most of the Colombian misses come from Barranquilla and Atlántico. So I think that's one of the things. And the other side of the coastal girls is like, they love dance more than anyone else in the country. They dance a lot, they party a lot, and they like loud music a lot. So if you're willing to wake up with Bad Bunny at 7 in the morning because she's in the shower, choose someone from there, because that's probably what's gonna happen. Like, they will put the music like very loud while they clean, while they cook, and we will be cleaning and doing this. And I say we, because I'm half Python, I'm half cousin. So that's the thing with the girls from there. And then we have girls from different small other cities all around the country. And I can tell this because I've experienced it by myself. And I'm Latina and I'm jealous. They are pretty, they are very pretty, but in most of those cities, like, it's not like a lot of tourists. So the foreigners normally come to Bogota, Medellin, Cartagena, Cali, Santa Marta, San Andres. But if you're not like in Guatapé, that it's like a big touristic town, or like Villa de Leyva, they will never see a foreigner. So when one goes there, they die for them. Like, they look at you with those Bambi eyes, like.
And it's not even just the girls, it's just people in general.
No, but the girls are like
Yeah.
like a deal. I went the last weekend there with my boy and like his friends. They came to visit me and meet me. And we were 3 girls and 5 boys, all of them very attractive, including my boy. And I remember we walked through one small town and they wanted to see inside of the church. And like, we used to stay around, like, looking, taking pictures, doing girl things. And I remember the 4 of them just passing by. And then 2 girls, like, clearly from the city, they were like, wow. They literally say this, wow. And they, like, looked like they were trying to go and talk to them.
Yeah.
I had to go in the middle and say, hey, you see those 4? 3 of them have girlfriend. 1, 2, 3. Try it.
You protect what's yours.
And they were like, so
Yeah.
I think that they are more romanticized there than here, because we're already in Medellin. For me, if I want to date a
You see them all
American,
around.
a gringo, an Asian, I just had to walk like to 10th Street
Right.
and stand there for like 2 minutes, hope not
you
to
don't wanna do
be,
that. You don't wanna do
exactly, hope not to be confused with one working girl, wear long pants. Like, I just had to go to the corner literally, and I can get a foreigner like this. For them, it's not that easy. So maybe they still don't realize that it's something very common and even sometimes dangerous, and they
Yeah.
will try to play with you. But that's not all the cases.
Yeah, I've
So
been to
that's what I had to say from different regions.
Yeah, I've been to some of the smaller towns like Neiva, like Cucuta. You know, it's a very different feeling because they don't see foreigners as much. So you're essentially a novelty
Yeah,
at that point.
you're like
They're curious.
you're like a big deal.
Yeah.
Because I remember I felt the same way when I live in Bangalore, in India. And normally when you're taken there with a model agency, is because first you're white. Hurts to say, but like in Asia, to be
Yeah.
white, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You have to be pretty and you have to be skinny. If
Yeah.
you fit those three, you're treated like
You're
royalty.
Yeah.
So when you go there and the people is not used to foreigner girls, like as I said, like in other pod, I look like culturally ambiguous. Like they wonder, is she from here or is she not? I wonder. And then they hear me talking and I don't talk like this and they're like, no, she's not from here. So they look at you with their eyes, like they're like, oh my gosh, she's a big deal. And like for women it's different. So everyone wants to spoil you. Everyone wants to buy you clothes. Everyone is like, slap me and throw me the food in my face and I will still be the happiest man in the world. And you're like, go look for therapy, bro. And to the boys is the same. Like when like they go there, they are tall, they are blonde, and the girls are like. And I know in India there is more tourism than in most of the countries here, but it's still like, if you go to the Taj Mahal, you will see people that never seen before someone white, and they will beg you to take pictures with you because back home nobody is gonna
Yeah.
believe them.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of the same here in some small towns when a Asian or a white tall guy walks in.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's actually to an advantage of a foreigner, because if you really want somebody who's loyal, you know, like the people in the larger towns, like they already have so much exposure, like you're not like what they're looking for anymore. But if you go to smaller towns, and this is why we built what we built, because on Crema, not everybody is from a large town. There are people from all around, you know, because that person grows up in a smaller town and potentially, a lot of times, in my experience, has better values than someone from a larger town, like that's actually more ideal. So, you know, like just remember, most of the world don't live in large metropolitan cities. That's only certain pockets. And when you actually get outside of that, it's actually genuine people, better culture, and a lot of times better food.
Yeah, a lot of times it's better for too.
So I mean, like you get to experience it all, and just getting to know people on Crema, getting to know a community of over 1 million people now. It's been heaven.
I agree with you. So, like, I think if I was a man, I will go to a smaller city,
Yeah.
or to a big capital in Colombia or Latin America in general, and like not to approach the girls, but like to bring a part of my culture
Yeah.
and to get to know the real
Yeah,
country, because there is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it is actually.
Yeah, because like I've always said, don't just go to a place with an aim of finding someone, because that sometimes maybe really doesn't work because you don't know that person that well. Meet a person that you can actually really get to know and think that person's awesome, and then just let that person drive you wherever they are, right? Like, because you get much better odds of doing it that way, because if you do that, that person's already into you and you're into them.
I agree with
You know,
that.
you can share cultures, you can have a lot of fun, that person can show you around. If you go to a place, and even if you go to one of those malls that we talked about earlier, you can actually go pick up people, like, it's sleazy. You know, so like, my core philosophy is you gotta spend time with someone.
I agree. Now, I'm curious about something. So, South Asian girls or Latin girls? Which one, if you could choose one, which is gonna be.
Depends on the personality. I mean, they're all pretty, right? Like, it's just
But
when-
if you were like in a contest and they
Yeah.
say to you, we'll give you one-way ticket to one of those two
yeah,
like continents, so you can go spend time there, meet people there.
yeah.
Like which of both?
Yeah,
would
it
you
depends on what
choose?
you're looking for, because I continue to go back to saying that even though like a lot of traditional cultures, yes, they have the same type of economic status, they have the same type of opportunities, which is not very much. There's still a lot of differences between, let's say, for example, take Southeast Asia and Latam.
Okay.
Two places where a lot of men hope to find someone who's more traditional, who can potentially fulfill their ideal of having someone traditional in their life. There are a lot of differences. For example, Southeast Asian girls are a lot more clingy. You think Latinas are clingy? Southeast Asian girls are very clingy. But their expectation is that if you like them, you should know in a short amount of time, and if you do, you better meet the families sooner.
Oh my gosh.
But even in Latin culture, you meet the families pretty soon, but not as soon as Southeast Asia. On the first or second meeting, they're bringing their entire families.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
it's a family decision.
It's a family decision.
Yeah, everything's a family decision. So, and then they expect that straight and narrow type of, hey, what are we gonna do to plan us a lot sooner? So, I think Latin culture is actually a good midway between what Southeast Asia is versus actually what America is. And Southeast Asia is a lot more innocent than Latam.
Oh yeah,
Just
of
put it
course.
that way, right?
We have reggaeton and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
Oh, they have stuff too, but it's not.
Oh.
But it's not it's not as let's just say westernized.
Got it.
as-
Yeah, we are
as-
more
as it is,
close.
yeah.
So
And especially if you go to a lot of the rural villages, compared to the rural villages here,
yeah.
it's people just they keep to their own, and it's even more of a, I would say, primitive way of getting to know people around the world. But just as a man, if you were to actually go to one of these places, it depends on what you want. If you want to settle down with someone immediately, if you like the Asian look, any of the non-tourist towns where you don't find the working girls is a perfect way to meet someone who can be genuine with you. They want to be wives from day one. Philippines is a really good example. Philippines is where Thailand was probably about 30 years ago.
Oh,
Because one of the biggest advantages of Philippines is that most people speak English because of all of the Western colonization. I would say probably 80% to 90% of the people speak English. So you don't have to actually worry about them not being on the same page with you. But they expect commitment almost immediately if you meet someone that you like. They're gonna ask so what are your intentions? Almost immediately.
Really?
There's very little
Wow.
little room for
to play dumb. Yeah.
to play it down. So some people like it, some people don't. But
Wow.
it depends on what you want. So depends on the place too. If you want to have amazing beaches, now Colombia's got some amazing beaches, but Philippines is unrivaled.
Really?
Unrivaled. Because it's 8,000 islands. And all the water is better than anything that you find near Cartagena or Santa Marta.
Now I'm gonna go. So
Philippines is amazing, and the food is different. The food is actually very Latam, because remember, one of the biggest influx of Philippine culture is from the Spanish conquest.
Yeah.
So what that means is that for example, lechon, which is actually very popular here, it's one of the national dishes of Philippines.
and we got the number one dish in the world this year, and it's lechona actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got it.
The same lechonas, So there's a lot of stewed meats, flavorful foods. It's the same in Philippines. So I find that there's a lot of correlations that are the same. People look a little bit different, but at the end of the day, I think to pick the perfect partner for someone who is Western.
So, for example, if a Western guy is looking for wifey material girl, normally what they look for, tell me if it's easy to find it in any of those two
Oh, totally.
contexts.
I mean, the question, we discussed earlier, is that do you want a wife that yells at you and still does the housework, or do you want a wife that doesn't yell at you? That's the difference between left in Southeast Asia. All joking aside, depends on who you're attracted to, you know, whether they're attracted to you. Like, do you want to spend time with them? Because remember, like, nobody is just a houseworker, even if they do a lot of the housework. Like, you shouldn't, a man should never go out there thinking that I want someone just to do the housework for me. Like, that's not kosher for anybody. Even if they'll do it, like, you gotta offer something really big in return as well. But that's what most of the females are. They're born into the society where their mothers teach them that's important. That's something that we don't get access to in Western society. Like, you're not born and trained to be a good wife since you were a child.
No, we're not.
You don't think so?
Well, I think we born to be like independent women. Like,
Yes.
you can cook, you can
Yes.
clean, you can do your stuff. If you do it for someone else, it's because you love that person, not
Fully
because
agree.
you are obligated to do
Fully
it.
agree.
So that's the way we grew up, because our moms and our grandmas were like, even if you don't want to, oh, he slaps me, but I have to do his lunch tomorrow.
Yep.
And every single day for 30, 50 years of marriage. For us, it's like, oh, you slap me, be prepared to meet the chancla.
Yeah.
So we will be equal in that. Like, most of us, like, I will say, like, there is other things that could happen, but like, we know how to hold the house, but we will just do it for the guy that really worth it.
That should be the way. And but in the West, you're not raised with that anymore. It's the sadness of society there.
So, for example, when a Western guy normally, like, it's looking for a wife, like, what are normally the requirements, like the wifey material requirements they are looking for that they cannot find in their own country?
I mean, one thing that we haven't really talked about, which is less PG, is body count.
Body count.
You know, like it or not, most guys, deep inside, it matters to them. You know, they don't want a woman who's been with a lot of different men, and you know, in every society, there's a lot of girls who've been there.
How much is a lot?
Differs by every person, but you know, the standard rule on social media says anything over 5 or 10 is it's comparison hell. It's not even so much a number, it's comparison hell. Because she will be comparing you to every other person every time, you know, because that's reality.
So it's more a ego thing than actually
It is very much an ego thing.
to how can I say this? Like, more ego than actually something that really it's cares.
Yeah, because I mean, like, the
Because-
reality is it doesn't matter. But people make it a big deal because it is an ego thing. And, you know, most guys have an ego that's more inflated because they believe that this is the way that it should be. But when you spend quality time with someone, when you really fall for someone, none of that stuff really matters.
Yeah, I agree with that. So first of all, they look for the body count and that you can, like, hold the house even if they help you with that.
But I do believe that there is a correlation with high body count and less successful relationships and low body count and potentially more successful relationships, because, you know, studies have shown that lower body counts on men and women it's not because most people don't have the ability to get it, it's because they're more choosy. And when they choose someone, they try to stay with them. And so this is why, like, for people who do have low body counts, relationships tend to be a bit better.
Yeah.
So there is science and reasoning behind it, but it's not like a thing that happens every time, and you can't like use that as a rule, because it just comes down to who the person actually is.
Yeah, I think it's more so like if you have a high body count, it's because you, in your perspective, in your interest, it's more like get to know people rather than to build something that lasts over the years.
Yeah.
And when you see someone with a low body count, boys and girls, that means when that person chooses someone, stays there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Or try at least.
Doesn't always work, and sometimes things happen, and divorces happen, and like.
But they're just not picking here and they're looking for emotional validation, or they just because this is something I guess we all have in common. We don't want, and this is gonna sound like mean because people they're not objects, but we don't want something that everyone has. Because it means it's easy to have, and if it's easy, I don't want it.
Exactly.
That easy.
Exactly. To me, there are levels of that, right? Because, even for guys and girls who have a lot of body count, that doesn't mean that person has loved every person that they've been with. The real question, instead of body count, although it does matter, should be how many people have you really fallen in love with?
The emotional, the emotional.
The emotional count, and that that you put everything into something for a long period of time, and it did or it didn't work out. That is
the real
what
one.
Really matters, because at the end of the day, I think that's what we're all looking for.
I think here I have to agree with you 200%, because I have feel that I don't have the highest emotional count, but every time you just get more tired of trying, and in the end you're more I don't want to go on a date and start from scratch. Black is my favorite color. Yeah, I do like pizza. No, I don't like to watch 3 hours on Netflix. And when you already bought something so big and meaningful and deep with someone else, you just come to the point where you're like, should I just die alone with 10 cats after 30?
You want that?
Instead of just stay with someone just because I don't want to be alone. Some days you just wonder, I don't want just any other disappointment in my life. And
that's the issue with someone who has been through life, and it applies towards divorces, it applies towards everything, that when you've been disappointed in life, you have a guard against things that could happen to you. And sometimes you don't put everything out there because you have that guard. But what I found is that in traditional cultures, those guards are a lot less. There are a lot less walls to actually get access to someone who really believe in the same things that you do. And even if you do have your own guards, it kind of melts it down.
Yeah, they do. When they are real with you, they melt them. But it's very hard to get to connect with someone in that way. You have to go back to the basics. You have to spend time. You have to open your heart again. Not just to, because if you were with that level of social energy, because that's what it is,
right?
And you sweep right with 10 assholes or 10 bitches, whatever it is.
You get played a bunch of times.
You're like, hello, how are you here? And hello, how are you? And in the end, you don't end really having a deep or meaningful conversation with any of them. Some of them, if they're really into you, they have to be the ones leading the conversation. So you reply. I remember when I first met my boyfriend, I was like, you know what? I'm not looking for anything serious. I just want to get to know someone cool, interesting to spend time with. Could be a friendship or something else. I don't know, but I'm not looking for nothing. And let me tell you, if I am dating at this point, I'm dating to marry, because I'm so tired of dating. I just want to set my head with someone that offers me emotional support, peace, balance, and where I feel I belong to a home, where I can make a home with. Because if this doesn't work with you, if I get to invest my time and effort and emotions in you, and we break up, first thing I'm gonna do is to go and get a dog. And I won't be back in dating apps. My friends will have to beg me.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is, something else that men look for, which is actually not talked a lot about, especially on social media, is if they want a family, they're looking at your age as a woman, because you can't change science. And science dictates that when you're older than 30, the chance of a miscarriage goes up significantly for a woman. So I think the actual data is in early 30s, you're at 25 to 30% chance of a miscarriage. mid-30s, you're up to like 35 to 40%, and by the time you're late 30s, like those numbers go up to like over 50%. Now imagine like going into a car, like we were to go out to dinner, and the taxi driver says, well, today there's a 1 out of 2 chance that we're going to get into a crash and you'll die.
Oh my goodness.
Just think about that. Now, that's the equivalent of going into a relationship with someone who's over 30, and knowing that there's a 1 out of 2 chance or more she will have a miscarriage. That means you try for a baby, because again, trying for a baby is actually not as easy in your 30s versus your 20s.
Yeah.
So starting at that point, you already know that the odds are against you, and you want a family. So that's probably a year and a half, of trying and potentially finally being able to actually get a child into the world. And then in the next 9 months, you gotta actually think about whether that baby will survive the entire 9 months. And if that baby does not survive in that next 9 months, what happens? Everybody's mind fucked. You don't want to try immediately again. It's going to take more time. So like that process in itself, and I say that because I went through it with my previous relationship. That was a 4 or 5 year relationship after I have our first child. That was traumatizing. So this is why a lot of men, like when they do look around, they won't say it out loud, but in the back of their mind, they'll say, age does matter. This is why like a lot of men do actively look at women in their 20s, because those issues, just genetics.
I think maybe they are more open-minded to meet someone older when they already decide they don't want to have kids.
Yep. Or when they already have kids. Like but for any man who does want to have a family, like that is a consideration that they typically have.
Yeah, because by biology they should.
It's biology. You can't change science.
Okay, so guys, this was an amazing podcast again, an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for listening to this. If you wanna follow us on our social media, here you have it. Also, we have the subscribe, a small button here. Feel free to watch all our other videos. We have great podcasts talking about a lot of these things, also shorts. So thank you so much for this conversation. It was amazing. I think you also enjoy it. And if you have any questions or you want to know how you can meet your soulmate in Crema, or someone like to spend time, to spend a life, or just to spend a meal.
Or just to get to know another culture where just get to know people so you're not lonely.
You just need to click the link below and you will go through the App Store or Play Store. So see you in another podcast.